Have you ever heard of a guy named Samuel Christian?
I have.
So today we're going to do a deep dive on him. Kind of fascinating guy, really.
Absolutely.
He's connected to the Philadelphia Black Mafia,
Yeah.
the Nation of Islam, and he was even on the FBI's most wanted list.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're going to be working with an excerpt from his Wikipedia page, and we'll see what we can find.
Sounds good.
All right, so looks like he was born in Philly back in 1939.
That's right. Yeah.
And he went by a few different names, Richard Carter, Sam Bea, Christian,
Right.
and then Suleiman Bey.
Lots of different chapters in his life.
Yeah, so maybe you can tell us a little about what was going on in Philly back then. Like, how did he end up getting involved with the Black Mafia?
Well, you've got to remember the late 60s and early 70s were a really intense time.
Right.
You know, the civil rights movement was happening.
Yeah.
There was a lot of push for economic equality for Black Americans. And there were still a lot of racial tensions that hadn't been resolved.
Sure.
And so, you know, in that kind of environment, it's not surprising that that some groups kind of formed, and the Black Mafia was one of them.
So what were they doing? What were their activities?
Well, they were involved in all sorts of things.
Okay.
Racketeering, drug trafficking, and unfortunately, violence.
Right.
So it was a pretty tough world that Samuel Christian got involved in.
It sounds like it, yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where he got the name Bea, right?
I think so, yeah.
What kind of figure was he in the Black Mafia? Was he a leader or more of a follower?
That's a tough one.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of information out there about that time. And, you know, the code of silence around these kind of organizations makes it really hard to separate fact from fiction.
Right.
But we do know that he didn't stay with the Black Mafia forever.
Right, right.
He converted to the Nation of Islam and took the name Suleiman Bey.
Yeah, that seems like a pretty big shift.
Yeah.
What was happening with the Nation of Islam at that time that might have drawn someone like Christian in?
Well, the Nation of Islam was a powerful movement in those days.
Okay.
It provided Black Americans with a sense of community, a strict moral code,
Right.
and a path to self-reliance in a society that often felt very hostile towards them.
I see.
And they also had a paramilitary wing called the Fruit of Islam, which was known for its discipline and dedication to the nation's teachings.
And Christian became a captain in the Fruit of Islam, right?
That's right.
I mean, that's a pretty significant role, especially considering his past.
Absolutely.
Makes you wonder what he was looking for.
Yeah, was he completely turning his back on his past? Or was he maybe looking for something similar?
Yeah, like structure, leadership.
Maybe even a form of power.
Right, but in a different way.
Exactly.
So it's this weird kind of contrast, right? Going from the shadows of the Black Mafia to this very public and disciplined religious organization.
It's an interesting juxtaposition.
So what happened next?
Well, in 1972, he was accused of murdering a man named Tyrone Fat Ty Palmer. And then just a year later, he was accused of another murder, this time Major Coxon.
Wow.
Yeah, and there were also some other people shot at the scene of that murder, but no witnesses were willing to testify against him.
Okay.
So he was never actually convicted of either murder.
But still, those accusations landed him on the FBI's most wanted list.
Exactly. He was the 321st person added to the list.
Wow. What must that have been like being a fugitive?
It must have been a really tough time.
Always looking over his shoulder.
Right, for your isolation.
Yeah.
Who knows, maybe he even continued to follow the discipline of the Fruit of Islam during that time.
Maybe.
We can only speculate.
Yeah, well, he eventually ended up back in Philly.
Yeah.
And died there in 2016 at the age of 76.
That's right.
So when you look back at his life, it's just amazing, all these different things, you know, the Black Mafia, the Nation of Islam, becoming a fugitive. What stands out to you the most?
I think what's really interesting is that Samuel Christian's story isn't just about him.
Okay.
It's a window into a really turbulent period of American history.
Yeah.
He was caught in the middle of all of these different forces, you know, race, religion, crime.
Right.
And the choices that he made, I think, reflect how complicated that time was.
It's a really complex story.
It is. And I think it challenges us to look beyond easy labels and really think about all the things that shape a person's life.
I agree with that. I think it's easy to judge people based on, you know, a few headlines.
Sure.
But when you really dig into their story,
Yeah,
you start to see the bigger picture.
absolutely.
Well, this has been really fascinating. Thanks for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
I hope everyone listening will take some time to think about Samuel Christian's story and what it might tell us about our own lives and the choices we make.
I hope so, too.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
Bye!